What up? It's skxllflower, and I'm going to do a track breakdown for the Sean Paul remix that I did that you may have seen on Twitter or SoundCloud or something. Yeah, so let's hop into FL and make sure I got mini meters up. So for my track breakdowns, I'm going to be doing this like a very casual setting. So it should be more like hanging out with someone and they're showing you their tunes rather than like some clinical university class or something. But yeah, so anyway, if you haven't heard the tune, I'll just play a little bit of it first. So let's take a listen.
Bang, bang, bang. Jimmy, telling him again. When I scotch, me up like this one, make them run them water. This and a touch, me giving them a lot of the car, me tough like a concrete mortar. When I scotch, turn my meter but hot like. Come on a scotch on it, pepper when me deal with the data. When I scotch, me up like this one, make them run them water. This and a touch, me giving them a lot of the car, me tough.
Cool. So that's like the first part, and then a little second drop action. But yeah, so hey, mini meters, where'd you go? Pin. All right, so I guess the best place to start off with is the drop, because everybody else starts in the intro. And the intro's boring. Nobody cares about that stuff. So let's go right into like the part that everybody wants to see.
Come on a scotch on it, pepper when me.
So first things first, obviously the vocal is super important because that's what makes it a Sean Paul flip. So
come on a scotch on it, pepper when me deal with the data. When a scotch.
Yeah, so the little like horn instrument just came through when I did the stem splits, and I'm like, okay. So I tried like 80 different things to just get just the vocals, but every data set, I guess, just recognized the recognized that as a vocal. So I had to work around that, which is cool because it's actually like, I like it. But anyway, so I found this tune because I was like, oh, it'd be really funny to do like a 140 remix of a Sean Paul song. So I just went through like his most recent stuff because I'm like, I'm not going to do the Sean Paul song that everybody knows because that's lame. Let's do like something weird. So this one, I was like, dude, this is going to be perfect. But yeah, so I used Ultimate Vocal Remover 5. This thing here, it's free and awesome. If you have a graphics card, definitely use that for your stuff. It's like the same algorithms that the FL stem splitting uses, but you can offload it to your GPU instead of just running it all on the CPU. So way faster and yeah, very fun. So yes, that's what I did for that. These other clips, I think this is, let's see. That's like the horn by itself. Because here there wasn't a horn. I don't know. I did some amount of like layering on this. Most of this like extra stuff down here was just definitely kind of sloppy. I tried to clean everything up, but I'm sure I had a reason for putting this stuff here at some point. Like in the beginning. And then what's this? Oh yeah, I octave down. Okay. So are these all octave down? They might be. No. Oh, okay. That might be octave down in the original track. But yeah, anyway, all the Sean Paul stuff is just sample chopping. So really nothing super special there. It's just like rearranging what already came with the track. But yeah, so drop wise. Come on, let me just mute the. Yeah, so that's the stuff that I did. Now, this whole thing started off as me experimenting with Current, the minimal audio synth. And I was like, oh, let's see, like, can I do some cool 140 things with this? And I guess I totally can. So this is the synth. Now, I haven't looked at this project since I did it, so I'm figuring this out while we're doing this. But it looks like okay, little bandpass on some FM'd sines. Ratio of 2:1. So this one's octave 0, this one's -1. And then what's this curve going to? FM amount. Okay, so it's just FM from B on 2 sines. This has a little bit more harmonics in it. If you look at, let's see, just give it some level here. Look at mini meters. You see how it's showing you extra harmonics up top? So yeah, when you see like a sine wave start to get rounded off at the top or squared off at the top, then you start getting extra harmonics and stuff. But yeah, so this patch, like this, I'm FMing a pure sine by a sine with a little bit of square juice in there. And then what this curve is going to the level, which has a motion in it. And then same thing to the FM amount. Let's see what's going on with effects. Guess I tried a bunch of stuff. Polar distortion. This is like the internal rift inside current. It looks like I'm just doing a little bit. This is like the standard shape. This is literally default. And then delay. What is this doing? Oh, okay. So I understand how this works now. So this delay is making the very melodic aspect of the bass. So if you look on millimeters, you see that peak up here at that, what is that? So fundamental 1, 2, 3, 4. The fifth harmonic there is like very resonant. So without getting too deep into the science of stuff, phase, phase is a thing. And then there's sine waves. Sorry, I'm like not doing a great job explaining this. So sine waves, right? They're one frequency. You have another sine wave that's slightly time offset. When you add those two together, which that's just what happens when you put two different sounds together at the same time, they add. And then if like there's a negative value on one and a positive value on the other, they'll cancel out and find somewhere in the middle. When you do that with, let's see, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 or so voices that are happening at slightly different times those voices are spread out between 2.72 milliseconds. So all those voices get combined together when you have this really short delay on there, and then you get all those kinds of phase interactions. And what those interactions do is that at different harmonics through each voice, so each voice has like all that whole harmonic series inside them. Some of those will add together and get louder. Other ones will get less loud. And that's how you get like, the phasey sound or those kinds of like, weird kind of comb filtery kind of things. But yeah, that's also why it makes things very metallic, because like in nature, a lot of metallic sounds have weird, uneven harmonic sets like that. So this delay is, I guess I tuned it to the right timing where those phase interactions would line up to accentuate that fifth harmonic in there and cut other ones. So it's kind of acting as like, I guess you could do that theoretically, just like going right into additive synthesis and just putting the frequencies where you want them from scratch. But you have to know that that's what you want ahead of time. And sometimes you don't do that. You just start messing around until you find a sound that you like. So that's, long-winded explanation of how this bass works. The sub is in here. I'm not a fan of doing separate subs. You'll never catch me doing a separate sub generally, unless I have to. And even then, if I get to the point where I have to do a separate sub, I'm at the point where I don't like the tune. So yeah, I keep all my subs inside of everything. But yeah, just let's see. It's one sine wave. There's no harmonics, no partials, no distortion. Is there anything else affecting this? Okay. So the sub has curve 2 as the level. Is that going anywhere else? I don't know. Mod Matrix coming soon. When we have that, we'll be able to see things easier. So shout out Minimal Audio. I'm excited for that. Okay, so I'm looking at the curve differences here. So it looks like the peak of the wave is at the same time. The FM sound comes in slightly before the sub. So the sub is delayed. And then it continues on longer than. Okay, so they're kind of like opposite each other. That's really interesting. So trying to think of a way to show that in a way that makes sense. That would be like if we had. This works. So pretend that these are different layers of a bass sound. I'm not going to play them because obviously it sounds like poopy. But this one, imagine that's the top of a bass. And this one, imagine that's the sub of a bass. Now, when I'm making like big wobs, like I did in the Twitter tutorial that I just posted, the sub layer comes first, and then the top layer comes slightly after. So you get that wah kind of thing. So what those curves in current are doing is it's bringing in the top layer first and then delaying the sub layer. But it would actually kind of be doing it like this, because it looks like the sub gets louder as the top gets quieter. So it's more of like that kind of shape. Whoa, 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 whoa. So maybe that like visual explanation kind of makes it a little easier to see than just looking at the curves and current. But yeah, so that's cool. So that's the main bass that's going on in this part of the drop. Which makes sense too, because then if you look at it in the little spectrograph here, you kind of see that same kind of motion. So that's interesting. Now, what else we got here? I guess we can go over, is there anything else in this pattern besides? No. And what's in, that's the same pattern. Yeah, that's my favorite bass ever. Go over that next. Yeah. Also, what is this? That's muted. And this? Oh yeah. Pretty sure this is like a splice sample going sheesh, which I just thought sounded really cool. You may have thought that was Sean Paul's voice. It was not. All right, so yeah, we'll go over this section now, and then we'll go into the drums. Is this the same bass? Yeah. So something that I really like to do when I'm doing sustained basses, which I want to do more of these. It's been a little bit since I've done a good sustained bass, but this is also current. Let me open up this pattern. And, oh, no way. I did this with the Tails 808 patch. Yeah, I made this. This is in the stream, actually. So if you have current and you have a subscription, it should be in Substation, which is definitely somewhere. Yeah, I'm not going to spend the time to find that right now, but it is in the stream. That's a preset that I made for minimal audio, so you could go grab that. So let's see what's going on. How does that work? Let me just play it. Oh, my MIDI controller doesn't like working today. It's interesting. Let's try unplugging it, plug it back in. There we go. Hey, she's alive. All right, so down an octave. All right, this is interesting for me because I wanted to know how this works because I made it a while ago and totally forget. All right, so that's with the effects off. How does that still sound so nuts? Oh, yeah, post-processing. I'm going to take off the stuff that is turned off so I remember what to turn off. So when I turn everything off, I remember what to turn back on when we go back through it. Okay, so that's everything. So let's turn off Shaperbox, ProR, Tremolator, OZT, Rift, and EQ. So this should just... There we go. That's the preset. Make sure I'm getting the audio. Yeah, we're good. So let's see. So same kind of thing. A little bit of like a rounded off square. And is there any FM happening anywhere? Is there a separate sub? Nope, just white noise and a rounded off square. This LFO is going to the pitch, I believe. And this is... Is this affecting... As you can tell, I'm not looking at the stuff ahead of time. What, is that also... That's a macro. This is actually really hard to do without a mod matrix. I don't know where I was putting stuff. Envelope 2 is definitely going to that pitch. This, filter cutoff. Okay. And then, where is this coming from? Okay, macro. Okay, so curve 1 is filter cutoff, just a low pass. If I turn that off. Okay, that's all that's doing. Nothing super crazy. The noise is obviously not going through that filter. This is a pitch envelope. So it's giving you that punch. If I can't bypass that. That's something I want them to add. But if I were to bypass that, you'd hear it just not have that knock at the beginning. This is a vibrato that I did, and I'm trying to figure out where that's linked to. Oh, I think I know. So this little ramp at the end is the depth of like an upward slide, and then this is the LFO that's moving the pitch as it goes up. So that this is allowing it to go up, and this is the motion of the pitch when it is up. So you get that little like that little tail to it, which is why I called it Tails 808. Right. So now with the post processing, and I know my face is over where you would see this, but I'll pull the plugins in so you can see it. So this is the first EQ. Actually, the only EQ. Just general shaping. It doesn't look like it's doing anything amazing. There is this rift with the Comb Freak preset. But if you would notice, underneath my face on this screen, you would see that it's off. Like the mix level in FL's insert channel thing is all the way down. And that's automated. So I'm pretty sure, yeah, that's this automation clip. So with just the EQ and just that rift on, let's hear what that sounds like in context. I'm going to mute this bass real quick. Right. So I've been finding that pulling like 2 to 3 rifts on like a bass channel and then automating, like finding good presets and then automating the mix on like a sustain gives you like a cool motion that like adds to a sound that you don't have to like think about ahead of time. You're just like spamming the randomize preset button, and you could just creatively choose something and then just let it come in as it's as like a sustain's happening, and then it's just like a really easy way to get organic motion in a bass synth. Obviously that sounds kind of nuts without the other processing, but those little things are super juicy. So now there is a rift, and this one is not automated. This is this little guy here, Euphorbia A minor. Oh, I didn't realize that I used a tuned preset. I wonder if that's even, I don't think this is an A minor. It's in like D or something. Hey, whatever works. I'm a big fan of randomizing rift. Again, shout out Minimal Audio. All right, so the next thing on there was an OTT. Doing OTT things. I'm half and half on how I use OTT. Sometimes I have the time all the way up. Other times I have it all the way down. But all the way up makes it a little bit less obviously smashed. All the way down gets you really cool artifacts. So it just depends on what you're going for. Also, mess around with these down here, the upward compression amount and the downward compression amount. Just to explain those real quick. Let me just come over here so you can see my face. So if you have a sound, right, and it's here, OTT, the downward compression is what's pushing down on the peaks, right? So if you have like da 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 da, the da would be like da 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 da, clamp down on that. Other way around is upward compression. So if you had da 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 da, the other ones, the da 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 da, those get pushed up. So OTT, it uses both of them to smush things from both sides. So that's what your upward and downward compression amounts are. So you can use that for all types of different things. If you want to bring out artifacts but not compress the sound, turn the downward compression to nothing. So it's not doing anything. It's not pushing anything down, but all the little stuff that's like in between notes and those kinds of things, it's like pushing it up into like the audible space where you would hear it. So that's a way to use that. Or if you don't want those things, you can turn upper compression down and then just use it as a regular compressor. But then because you might just want to use a regular compressor for that instead, because it'll probably be a little bit less like phase weirdness around the band cutoffs, if that makes sense. If that's too technical, don't stress it. Just creative things that you can do with OTT. So back to FL. Yeah, so it looks like a pretty standard setup. Just brought the upwards down a little bit for the less artifacts, and downwards up a little bit for more compression. And then what is this tremolator? Is this on at any point? Is that automated? It is. I don't see a clip for it. Unless it's somewhere. No, that's all drums. There's nothing else there. Oh, you know what? I know where that is. That's in the next drop over here, I think. There's... Yeah, here it is. That's the clip. So for drop 2... Yeah, okay, that's where you're getting that's what the tremolator's for. That little like pulsing section. So anyway, let's go back to this. Let's re-loop that. Cool. So then, where is that bass? There you go. So Pro R, this is also super fun. So I have like the hardest time trying to come up with like interesting things ahead of time. Like I'm not good at writing things from like, oh, my brain goes blah 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 blah. I don't think like that. Like I can come up with those things, but then I like want to like explode when I can't get it right, and then it just makes me hate music, and then I quit dubstep, and then I quit dubstep from 2015 to 2024 and don't release anything, and it's a whole bad mental health situation for me. So instead of trying to make what's in my head, I don't think. No thoughts, smooth brain empty, and instead automate random stuff like mix levels of different plugins. So I'll have like a basic sound like this, and then get those articulations by like, oh, let's put a reverb at 100% wet, and then just make this kind of clip and see what that sounds like, and it sounds really cool. So then you get those little like those like missed notes. Yeah, that sounds really sick. So that's a trick that I'm like, oh, now that I know that works, I can do that in a bunch of tunes. And I just like keep that in my bag of tricks where I'm like, all right, cool. If I want to do a sustain bass, well, I'm probably going to be getting articulations from automating, riffed mix levels and I don't know, a really wet reverb. Or maybe I'll do like a whoo kind of on the reverb, like over here, actually. Cool. Like that all sounds great. And what is this shaper box doing? That's also probably automated on. Oh no, it's doing this weird gated thing. Yeah, so as somebody who's been producing since 2009, it started off as like, oh yeah, I use presets because like I don't know how to do anything. And then it was like, no, I know how to do everything and I have to make everything myself. And then I went to college for audio, and then I was just like, oh, I'm better than everybody, and I like really know actually what I'm doing, blah, blah, blah. And then now that I'm like old and making dubstep again, I'm like, bucket, presets, YOLO. It's so much more fun, like not feeling this pressure of like, yeah, I have to make every aspect of every single sound. And don't get me wrong, I do a lot of like my own stuff. Like most of the kicks in my music, I synthesized all those kicks, but that's just because I'm like frustrated that I can't find a kick that I like. So I'm like, screw it, I'll make one. Same thing with rim shots. I'm like, dude, there's like 2 rim shots that I found that like actually like tickle my spot the way that I want it. And like, that was a wild way to say that. I'm sorry. But yeah, like I made a bunch of rim shots because I don't like any other rim shots. So like those kinds of things I will make myself. But like when I'm making like a bass sound, I'm like, screw it, why not use presets? Somebody made them for you to use them, and like they're cool. And I promise you, not a single person will, unless they watch this video, will call out, oh well, you used this Shaperbach gate preset on the drop 2 B section bass, and like that's crazy. Like who cares, dude? Music is about vibe and it's about fun. Like we could get as technical as we want about it, and I could talk to you all day about math and physics and phase interactions, whatever. Who cares? We're literally here trying to make people dance or vibe. And you know, I don't know about you, but I've never vibed in a physics class. So presets, bro, use them. Absolutely. Super fun. Literally just here to make cool sounds. All right. So next thing. Same thing. Oh yeah. These fruity balances. I do this a lot for tons of stuff actually. Fruity balance is like one of my top most spammed plugins in FL. In Ableton, y'all have utility. You could do that too. But literally it's just like gain automation. I will never, ever, ever automate like a fader in the mix channel, like one of these guys, because whatever, I hope that's in the right spot. I'll never use one of those because I would like to be able to change my mix levels later. So instead of doing that, I always use Fruity Balance so I can automate the volume of track without going nuts. But yeah, so I'll use this to like cut off reverb tails, or like if I'm trying to do like a section where it's like, you know, everything stops for a second. It's like a little vocal sample. That's probably what's going on here. There's no vocal sample there, but that would be a good time to like, okay, cool. Let's chop, you know, let's chop the top, mute that. Let's do, is there anything else happening there? This vocal or whatever. I'll just go through the whole project and like chop everything. Get that like massive space, and then you can find like a little vocal or something. Like, all right. I don't know. This isn't like, doesn't really fit the vibe, but what up? That's how you do that kind of stuff, and it's just like super vibey. But yeah, Fruity Balance is great because I'm always loading stuff with reverbs and delays and all kinds of things, and instead of like going for each like reverb and delay and thing to automate it all down for that little pause, like nah, just put a Fruity Balance or a gain utility at the end of a channel and just cut it that way. So that's fun. But it looks like that's all that's really going on with that part of the drop. Is there anything I missed?
Gotcha. Let me tell you this, girl, when me step for your back of me, that's my word, and don't be scared.
Seems like I'm missing something.
Gotcha. Let me tell you this, girl, when me step. Come on, scotcha. Wanna scotcha, scotch my need pepper when me deal with gotcha. Let me tell you this, girl, when me step for your back of me, that's my word, and don't be scared. I think it's absurd when me tell you something, I gonna make you fly like blazing. Some why you come through, so me can get you sitting to make you feel new and touch with the boy where you make you feel cool in my bar with the crew now.
I'm definitely missing something. I probably messed something up in the synth. Is it this?
Gotcha. Let me tell you this, girl, when me step for your back of me, that's my word, and don't be scared. I think it's absurd when me tell you something.
Yeah, that's what it was. I forgot to turn the processing back on in there. Fuse compressor, just pushing the mids a bunch, and then polar distortion. Hey, look at that. Another preset spammer.
Gotcha. Let me tell you this, girl.
Cool. Yeah, that's how you do stuff like that. Post-processing is a funny topic just because, you know, there's a million ways to do it. But yeah, I don't know. It's fun. That's where you experiment with things. And like, to me, post-processing is a lot of like, you know, okay, I want more of this and I don't have it, so let's EQ it. Or I want more of that and I don't have it, so let's compress it. Okay, it needs to be dirtier. Let's put distortion on it. And then, ooh, what does this thing do? Oh, that sounds cool. It's a lot of just like that, and just like having like a set of plugins and effects that you like, and then you can do that stuff with it. But yeah, that kind of covers most of the bases. The second drop is... Let's see. Is that a separate sub? It might be. What's going on here? Yeah, that is a separate sub, I think. Let's pull this current over here. Same kind of thing. It's literally pretty much the same patch, I think, just using a sine harmonics wavetable instead. So it's like automating, or I always do that. It's like FMing the bass sine by a higher pitch instead of the same pitch, or like you're just changing the ratio of things. So I just brought it up. So that's all that's really going on here. Yeah, is there anything else happening processing wise? Oh yeah, there is. So let's see. There's a Vocodex on here. What's that like without the Vocodex? Ah, so somehow this Vocodex is doing this. Okay, so that's kind of tuning the pitch. So this is the width of the bands, and then there's 47 bands. So splitting up the sound into 47 different elements, and then if you make it really small, it sounds really digital. And it's very resonant because those things are like super resonant at that point. More bands will make them wider. So it sounds more like the original signal, so there's a cool balance in the middle. And I'm assuming that this resonance here, if you look on millimeters at 500 hertz, I'm assuming that resonance comes from the same thing we talked about before, like different layers of voices crashing onto each other and positively interfering, getting constructive interference. So that's probably what that is. But yeah, Vocodex is super fun. I don't think I did anything crazy in here. Band distribution, that's a fun, that's a fun setting to mess with. I could talk about that more in depth, but I don't really remember off the top of my head what that does. But it's fun to draw things in there, and it can make things sound really weird. Band gain multiplier, that's the default one. I doubt that I changed anything else. I kind of was like going quick with this bass, and I didn't want to like go super in depth with things. And bandwidth, yeah, okay, so it's literally just pretty standard stuff. Cool. That's the Vocodex. What is this riff doing? Dirty low pass phaser. This is without it. Cool. Also, that other that's the same synth, just on a different channel because I changed the rate and I didn't feel like automating it, and I have a ridiculous amount of RAM, so I can handle that. Yep. Cool, little distortion action there. That's fun. Everything else looks like it's off except for this Echo Boy. So that's just set to ping pong. Shout out Echo Boy. I absolutely love this delay. I almost called it an EQ, but I love this delay. It's just like intuitive and sounds great. Bunch of different types of saturation modes over here, and then you can go into the width, make things wider, shorter. But yeah, it's like eighth note delay with a little bit of filtering on it. Ping pong. And it looks like that's about it. There is one other EQ. And one of the few times that I will do a separate sub, and it's probably because the Vocodex is making the sub weird. That's my guess. But yeah, so I'm cutting 88 hertz on this, and then I just have this other sub following it. And then what is this? A little... yeah, this little pitch bend is on the actual bass synth, just doing it. Whoa. This flow sample, shout out flow. I think I had this mostly used as like a placeholder when I was designing some of the basses, but I know that I did use one flow bass in this tune, and I actually think it is the same sample, but it's just this one. Shout out flow. I just wanted to use one of his basses, and I used his top too. Love some flow tops. I don't usually use these now, but stuff that I should use more often. But yeah, I think that covers most of the basses. Yeah, what is this bass up here? The that thing. What is this? Oh, another skxllflower preset available right now on the Minimal Audio stream for current. Yeah. What did we do here? There's a lot of stuff going on in this bass. It's a preset that I made. You could use it. It's available for free. Well, not for free. I mean, if you're subscribed to the thing, but it's available if you have current. And if you want to try current, there's a 30-day free trial with access to the stream, and you can get all the stuff. And it's, yeah. So it is kind of free. But yeah. Bandpass. Is there FM happening? There is FM happening. And we're changing the some of these warp modes, and there's just a lot of modulation happening. It's a very modulated, simple bass sound. And these wobs, I do have another video where I'm going to go like super in depth on how to make those, and I do have the short video that I posted on Twitter to show you like the basis behind those kinds of sounds. It's a little bit too much to cover all in the one video here, but yeah, basically I'll make like 15 of these like nasty wobs and then just use them as like samples in my songs and stretch them out, process them. Like that stretched has, what's going on there? Actually, there's a little Fab Filter Timeless action, Fruity Convolver with a spring reverb impulse response, and then this EQ. Yeah. Love making my own bass samples. And then this is from a Origin sound pack. Let's see, what else is happening? This is another flow top. Flow transition. Flow has his own Patreon, and if you're not signed up for it and you want to make 140 kind of stuff, you should definitely go sign up for that. I'm also a huge fanboy for old Vengeance samples. Their old effect stuff is just so sick, and like nobody uses them. But I mean, maybe they do, I don't know. But I usually don't hear people using like old samples like that now. But super fun. These drums, I think that's really the next thing to go over. We did all that. Before we get into drums, let me just do these real quick. Vocal scratches. Yeah, pretty simple. You just have to think about what you want the scratch to sound like in your head, and then find samples that do like the little voices that you want, and then do that. I actually probably will do like a shorter video on how to make your own scratches, but it's really, really easy and super, super fun to like chop that kind of stuff up. But it's basically just throw an acapella or like 20 of them into an Edison, and then use, let me just pull up an Edison to show you. There we go. Let me just grab some type of vocal. Cool. So you would hit play. And you grab this, you hit play and you grab this little scrubber wheel. Damn, let me try. Mouth is getting. Yeah, and then you'd put another Edison after that, and then just record, and then just go through like a bunch of different acapellas and just get these like little moments where, you know, the voices come in and out, like. And then you can chop them up and make some kind of rhythm. I didn't do that for this. I used samples from sample packs because I was trying to do this quick and they sounded good, and sometimes I don't do everything myself because I am but a man, just a human. Let's see, these hi-hats. I love hi-hats where you can't tell if they're acoustic or electronic. They just sound so good. I don't even know what pack these are from. Let's see. Sonic Specialist Urban Fire. I love that pack is super, super sick. I think this is also from there. Trying to figure out how to synthesize hats like this. I can do it, but like I can make hats obviously, but like this very specific vibe from this pack very specifically is kind of hard to land on. But yeah, super cool. So I loved using these hats. I use them in a lot of my tunes. One thing about swing in FL, it's super easy. I don't know about other DAWs, but every time that I do this, I have my grid always set to quarter step. Oh wait, no way. I didn't even swing these in this. That's insane. These are like on the grid. Is everything on the grid? That's all muted. Yeah. That's crazy. Usually what I'll do is, and like a good formula for swing is just move it over one click. Like, if you're on 1/4, which divides each what is it? Each 4 things is a 16th note. So I guess these are 64th notes. So you move it 1 64th note later, and boom, there you go. It sounds really awesome. Super great for like garage 2-step stuff. Just like that, remembering just like, oh yeah, 3 before the upbeat. Sounds great. But yeah, I guess these are on. And what am I doing? I'm just getting the swing through clip gain, not even automation, just clip gaining the tracks. So okay, this is like a fun thing about hi-hats. And again, I'll go over like, in way more detail about like how to do fun drums in another video, but simple rhythms work best. Try not to go like absolutely insane with your rhythms for hi-hats, but getting 2 contrasting hi-hats, like one that's a little darker and one that's a little brighter, and having them do 2 different simple rhythms at the same time makes things sound really sick. So this is going da, 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 da. And you're making them all move around with like different levels on each one of them. But it's pretty straightforward. This isn't even on a channel. It's not pitched. There's no processing on this, no EQ, no high pass filter, none of that. Just straight groove and vibe. This one is and same thing. Louder hi-hat, quieter hi-hat. But then you put those 2 together. This one's a bit more of like a little bit darker hi-hat. That's a little bit brighter and dirtier. You put them together. Cool. I wanted to accent the upbeats on like a more macro scale. Put a bigger, more attention grabbing hi-hat there, a little bit louder. Want to accent the downbeats, put another higher, I guess, hi-hat there. You could do all kinds of stuff, but... And then same thing here, that wasn't enough, so I did another one. That's it. And then I just literally continued that pattern over here. And then I guess there's some swung stuff here. Let's just grab the... Oh, wow, I never even made a drum bus on this. That's fine. Let's just solo these channels here. Yeah, that's all the drums. So, what's going on? I was really repping flow on this. That's crazy. So, flow snare. No processing. Some flow hi-hats. This is not even... That's interesting. Why am I not hearing any of that? Like, oh, because it's over here on this channel and it's all the way down. So I guess I didn't like that. Sorry, Flo, I didn't like that sample. What's this kick? Oh, an ASCO kick. Also another Patreon that is like super worth subscribing to. That man is literally a rocket scientist. And I love him. He's a very sweet, very, very, very sweet person. And I respect all the work that he has done and all the things he has made. Let's see. Some groovy hats. Yeah, there's the swing stuff. So this is on the 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spaces. 1, 2, 3. That's the pocket right there. It's like literally a formula. That sounds good. Now you swing it. Sounds like the UK. There's really not that much different between America and the UK. It's literally just that one little space on the sequencer grid. So remember that. What is this? Little percussion, like a little like organic percussion. Now what's going on with these rims? Oh, another little Middle Eastern sound. What pack is this from? Oh, another urban Faya pack. I remember doing something interesting with these rims. I thought I had like a really short convolver on something. I could be wrong. I might have done that in a different song. But yeah, that's a fun thing to do. If you're trying to get like an interesting rim sound, take a kilohertz convolver and make a really, really, really short impulse response. Actually, let me just do that real quick. This is like half tutorial, half track breakdown. I hope this is interesting. I'm sure that somebody will like this. Kilohertz convolver. So this is on like the snare bus. Right. Make it really, really short. Not that short. Like that. Go through different impulse responses. Get all these different types of tones that you can mix in. Cool stuff. Something fun to do. This like, I was trying to recreate the clap from Ome's track in my mind. It's like a clap and a snare combo with like a little bit of chorus action going on. Then there's like a low mid bump that probably comes from like a snare layered, that whole thing. So I just made that and I used that in here. And then another flow rim. No, I'm not using that. Cool. So that's most of the drum stuff. It's just about sound selection, man. Just putting stuff in the right spot. Like find out where it grooves and put it there. Yeah, the little Dakin shaker loop. By the way, I'm Dakin. I'm also skxllflower. Dakin was my old alias, and I use that for like pro audio stuff now. But yeah, that's fun. I am Dakin. And then a flow cymbal. Shout out my guy. Another top loop here. So most of my newer tunes, I'm actually using. So I made this before I started working on like my actual like 140 drum library. So I'm mostly using my own stuff now. But when I posted the Sean Paul thing and it went crazy, I was like, okay, I got to finish this now. So I was like, all right, I don't care. I'm just using whatever I got. Now I'm like actually really happy with the sounds that I have dialed in. They sound like more like me and less like other people. But yeah, overall, I think that's pretty much everything that's going on in this track.
Bang, bang, bang. Jimmy, telling them again.
Yeah, the mix on this track isn't even anything crazy either. Most of it is like, I didn't, looking over here, the only thing that I have grouped is the basses, and they're not processed as a group. I literally just did that so I can sidechain them easier, which again, the sidechain's done with Fruity Balance and automation. So one thing about this, the difference between the default setting for Fruity Balance and the top is 5.6 dB. So one thing that's really helpful so that you don't have to like focus on like in the automation clip, if you want to just go full maxed up, just know that that's going to push your basses up by 5.6 dB. So you can compensate for that by bringing your bass, like your sidechain group down 5.6 dB, which I'm sure I started at that point, but I brought it up to negative 2.6 because I'm sure I just wanted it louder. But hello, dog. Hi. I'm not sure if you could hear him whining, but that was fun. But yeah, that sounds like that's pretty much all of what's going on in this tune. Mix-wise, everything's just kind of like make it loud and put like delays and stuff on it and just EQ it in ways that make it sound good. So yeah, hopefully that's a pretty decent rundown of what's going on here. So yeah, shout out Sean Paul. I'm so happy that you guys enjoyed this tune, that it like went as far as it has gone. And like, I don't know, seeing all the videos of people playing it out has been really fun. And it's just like, I don't know, it means a lot to me that, you know, people are starting to like really connect with something that means, you know, it's like so integral to my core. Like I started music production in 2009, like to make this kind of stuff. And it's just cool to be like, whoa, Scream saw this and like messes with it. That's really cool. And, you know, it's not just him, but it's like, it's more so just everybody, like all the people that hit me up about things and like interact with the things that I post. It's just like, I don't know, it means the world to me. Like, obviously I'm not playing shows or like, I'm not like a massive artist or something. And I don't really plan on doing shows or anything like that. It's just, for me, it's just about the records. But I'm just really thankful that I have people to share this kind of stuff with, because in real life, nobody cares about dubstep, but on the internet, people do. So yeah, thank you guys. And I'll be doing more of these soon. So yeah, I guess we'll chat again very shortly. Where's the end button? There we go. Peace.